Hey, what's up, mortals? It's FalonEcho here with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 1, Part 7 of What If Izuku Was Majin. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So we begin. Izuku, Mina, and Kirishima finally made their way into UA and proceeded to make their way to Class 1A. They looked from the bottom to the top of the building until they made it to their classroom. Izuku was shocked to see a massive door that reached the ceiling. But Mina and Kirishima weren't surprised. Izuku questioned if there were anyone with giant quirks as Mina and Kirishima chuckled at the comment. All of them deeply thought about the challenges they were facing, the obstacles, and even friends they may make on the way. Izuku opened the door only to find an argument happening in front of them.
"Get your feet off that desk right now!"
Ida yelled. Bakugo turned his head as he put up a middle finger to him.
"Make me 4-eye extra!"
Bakugo screamed back. Ida gasped at the disrespect he had just received. He was about to continue arguing with Bakugo, but tried to approach him calmly. Ida told him who he was in his middle school. However, that didn't work. It only made the boy cocky and stated his intention toward Ida. Ida was shocked at how UA allowed him of all people to be here. The rest of the students watched them until they saw the trio standing in the doorway. Ida and Bakugo noticed them, and Ida made his way over to greet and introduce himself to them, while Bakugo gave each other a look of anger. Ida and the tribe talked with each other until a familiar voice was heard behind them. Izuku turned around and saw the same brunette from the exam. "Hey, I know you, Pinky," the brunette said happily. "I just wanted to thank you for helping me from falling." Izuku held his hand toward the girl with a smile. "I'm Izuku Midoriya." "It's no problem. I'm just glad you're alive and doing okay." The girl shook Izuku's hand and returned with a smile. "I'm Ochako Uraraka." Izuku and Ochako talked with each other as Mina watched in jealousy. "Jealous?" the voice said jokingly in her ear. Mina looked back to see them gone. Kirishima noticed her looking nervous and asked to see if she was okay. Mina said she was fine and brushed it off, but not the conversation with Izuku and Ochako.
"If you could all be quiet and not be so buddy-buddy with each other, maybe we could get something done,"
someone depressingly said from behind them. The 5 students froze, shook, and turned their heads to the voice. They saw a man in a yellow sleeping bag on the ground. The 5 questioned who he was and why he was laying on the ground. Before they could ask who he was, the man began to get up and speak.
"Greetings, I'm Shota Aizawa, your teacher."
Aizawa bluntly stated as he got out of his bag with a PE uniform in his hand.
"Put these on and meet me at the PE grounds."
All the students stared at him in confusion and followed him. Then they changed and made their way to the grounds. Once they got there, Aizawa and Vomi were waiting for them.
"Miss Vomi!
Aunt Vomi!" Half the class screamed in unison. "Hello, everyone," Vomi said happily with a smile and clipboard. Most of the students were confused about why she was there. Before anyone could ask her, Aizawa answered before them.
"Most of you may know her, but for the rest,"
Aizawa said, pointing towards Vomi.
"This is researcher Vomi, and she's going to keep track of your progress and help you understand your quirk throughout UA.
Aizawa finished his introduction with them and continued with his speech about what will happen here for the future for them. However, someone wasn't focusing on him, but focusing on someone else. Izuku stared at Vomi, still feeling horrible about the event at the beach. Izuku wasn't paying attention to what Aizawa was saying and only focused on Vomi. Vomi released that someone was staring and stared back at them. Izuku looked away in fear, hoping she wasn't still mad at him. He looked at her and noticed that she was still staring at him. Izuku didn't know how to respond but waved at her. He was surprised that she waved and smiled and backed him. He knew that he had to apologize after this was over. Aizawa finished speaking, walked towards Vomi and said, "You're up." "Now then, let's get down to business." As you can see, Aizawa wants all of you to do a Quirk Apprehension test. Vomi stated as she looked towards Izuku. "Izuku, you got first in the entrance exam. How far could you throw a softball in middle school?" Everyone turned their attention to Izuku as his body tensed up. Izuku stated that he got 70 meters. Vomi smiled and explained the different tests that they would have to complete. Aizawa intervened with a sentence to make them more worried.
"The person in last place will be expelled on the spot."
After that, all the students were focused and ready for the test.
"Okay, Midoriya, now go to the circle and throw the ball with your quirk,"
Aizawa said, unenthused as he tossed a ball. Izuku caught it as Aizawa pointed towards the circle.
"Just as long as you stay in the circle, you have the freedom to do anything you like."
Izuku made his circle as he stared intensely at his arm as if he was planning on doing something. Vomi and Aizawa stared and nodded at each other. Izuku closed his eyes and just stood there, confusing everyone besides Vomi. Vomi approached him, concentrated on Izuku's energy, and noticed it was going into his arm and into the ball. Vomi would have guessed that he would try to make that energy ball move again from the exam. Izuku pulled his arm back and readied the throw as Aizawa activated his quirk. Izuku launched the ball, leaving a trail of energy behind it. It seems that energy gave it more of a boost in power. Aizawa was shocked that his quirk didn't affect him, but decided to talk with Vomi later about it. He showed everyone what Izuku got, and all of the students were shocked to see Izuku's score of 1,000 meters. Mina said this would be fun as Vomi sighed, knowing they still had much to learn. Finally, the test has begun. Ida and Izuku were up first for the meter dash, in speed, with Bakugo and Mina. Bakugo used his explosions to propel himself forward, and Mina uses her acid to glide on the ground. Mina wanted to use OFA to give her a boost, but isn't sure how to use OFA again, and afraid of damaging her body again. Aizawa took note of this and paid close attention to her. Throughout the test, Izuku did much better than he could imagine. The grip strength test showed Izuku's strength by almost crushing the grip machine, and the long jump, with how stretchy his body is, he was able to clear out of the sandbox. For the sideways jumps, he couldn't do much about it and did the best he could. As for Mina, she tried to take All Might's advice about imagining using OFA in small amounts instead of all out, but every time she tried to activate it, nothing comes to her. No feeling of energy coursed through her or tingle of power. She wanted to use it during the grip strength test, but nothing happened. Finally, she tried to use it in the long jump, although she couldn't focus on both her acid and OFA. She did a reasonable distance by gliding on her acid to give a boost. The same goes for the sideways jumps. OFA not showing up to help her, she believes that OFA wouldn't work for her until Aizawa called her name. This video is sponsored by Adobe. Adobe is redefining the digital experience through game-changing innovations that shape the next generation of storytelling. Adobe makes it easy to create, edit, and share digital documents securely, allowing you to collaborate and communicate across devices. Adobe Photoshop is a go-to application for faster graphics editing and digital art as a whole. At We the Celestials, our thumbnails across every channel are created with Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Premiere Pro is a timeline-based and non-linear video editing software application that is versatile and easy for beginner and master editors. Finally, Adobe After Effects is the industry-standard tool for digital visual effects, motion graphic, and compositing applications used in post-production. Many of our voice actors, audio editors, and video editors use Premiere Pro and After Effects to produce these high-quality videos. Click the link in the description to start creating now, and thank you to Adobe for sponsoring this video.
Ashido, you're up.
Aizawa tossed the ball towards her. Mina went into the circle and was ready to throw the ball. She concentrated on trying to activate OFA again, and it worked. She could feel the energy flowing throughout her body, especially in her arm. Vomi could tell what Mina was trying to do and grabbed Aizawa's attention. Aizawa nodded as he knew what he had to do. Mina threw the ball with OFA coursing through her body and released the ball, and the ball didn't go far.
My quirk was just...
Mina worriedly said as she looked down at her hands. Before saying anything, Aizawa interrupted her by capturing her in his scarf.
Erased?
Aizawa seriously stated. Everyone besides Vomi was scared at what Aizawa was doing. His hair was floating up and his eyes were glowing. Mina was terrified at Aizawa's tone and appearance. It took a bit for Izuku to notice, but he recognized who he was. Eraserhead. Aizawa ignored what his students were talking about and focused on Mina.
I saw what you did in the entrance exam. Throughout the exam, I could tell that you were only using your acid and struggled with using those powerful punches.
Aizawa said sternly as he pulled her closer.
If you think about only focusing on just your acid and not both, then you shouldn't be in this course.
Aizawa let Mina go and told her to hurry up. She stood there looking at the ball in her hand. Izuku, Vomi, and All Might believe that she can do this, but she seems that she doesn't believe in herself. I don't know how to adjust this power, Mina quietly told herself. She clenched the ball tightly, wondering how to use OFA without destroying her entire arm. I just can't do it. Tears began to fall down her face until something grabbed her shoulder.
Come on, young Mina,
All Might said to her. He looked closer to get a better view of Mina, but something else got his attention.
Huh?
Mina and All Might noticed the figure standing right beside her. Concentrate on one part of the body, the inner voice said as she grabbed Mina's arm. Mina was confused about what was happening and why the figure was helping her. She wanted to ask why it's helping her, but doesn't want to look crazy in front of everyone, so she just allows the figure to help. As she was throwing, she concentrated the power of OFA on her fingertip and released the energy to launch the ball into the air, followed by a massive gust of wind. Aizawa and everyone were surprised at Mina's display of power. The figure that helped disappeared as Mina clenched her fist and turned towards Aizawa and Vomi. She smiled with her finger broken and bruised as Aizawa chuckled and Vomi smiled at her. Nana? All Might shockingly thought to himself. He thought he was going insane or she was making it up, but he saw it clear as day. That shadowy figure looked exactly like his previous mentor, Nan Shimura. After the ball throw, the last 3 events went normal. Izuku completed the sit and reach, sit up, and mile run, while Mina had to fight through the pain. Once the test was done, Aizawa showed the students their placement, and a few students were surprised at their placement. Izuku was surprised that he placed in 3rd, Bakugo in 4th, and Mina in 7th. The person in the last place appeared to be an invisible girl, and although nobody could see her, they could hear her cry. Some felt bad that she would be expelled, but then Vomi began to speak. And nobody was going to be expelled, Vomi said. The students stood staring at her with blank faces on them. Aizawa said that to have you all give it your all in the test. All the students except a select few were shocked that Aizawa would do something like that to them. Momo knew this wouldn't affect anyone besides showing their placement. Maybe she could have said something to put them at ease, but instead they gave Aizawa a worried look and asked why he decided to do this. And all they got out of him was, "It helps me know where you all stand. Plus it's funny to see everyone afraid." Aizawa chuckled as he walked towards them. They stepped back as he stopped in front of Mina. "Mina," Aizawa said. Mina turned towards him to see a slip of paper. "Show this to Recovery Girl. Class dismissed," Aizawa stated as he walked away from them. All the students just stood there for a bit before Vomi told them that they need to hurry and get back inside. They listened and made their way inside, all but one. "And Vomi?" Izuku called out. Vomi turned her head to see a nervous Izuku. "Hello, Izuku," Vomi said with a smile on her face. Izuku immediately bowed down towards Vomi and began to apologize to her. "And Vomi, I'm sorry for what I said at the beach," Izuku said. Vomi felt her body tense up from what Izuku said. She shook off the feeling and grabbed Izuku's shoulder. Izuku looked up and saw Vomi pulling him into a hug. "It's fine. Just try not to bring it up again," Vomi said. "I'm also sorry for getting angry at you. Now I suggest that you get back to class now. I know you were watching, All Might," Vomi and Izuku said as they walked by him. All Might got out of the corner of the building and chuckled at them. Izuku kept walking as Vomi and All Might stood behind and chatted. "I guess that sneaking up on you two is going to be hard," All Might said jokingly. "I was watching young Mina and her progress, but something happened. Finally, I could see what Mina had seen before." "Huh?" Vomi confusingly asked. "You mean the figure that Mina saw?" "Yes, I saw it clearly, and it looked exactly like my old mentor Nana," All Might said. "I don't know why she or I was able to see, or even how OFA could do something like that." Vomi thought to herself about what he said. Now he could also see what Mina was seeing. However, that isn't as much information as she hoped, but it's still something to work off of. Vomi cleared her throat and gave him a theory. "Well, I still want to see some evidence about this, but take this with a grain of salt," Vomi stated as she adjusted her glasses. "It could be only seen for those who have OFA. Maybe Mina saw it first due to having a quirk, but it's just a simple theory." All Might nodded his head and thanked her. She smiled as Aizawa appeared behind All Might, scaring him away. Aizawa pointed out that he knew that he was watching them, especially Mina. All Might chuckled as he said that he also sees the potential in Mina. Aizawa ignored him and began to talk to Vomi. "Vomi," Aizawa called out. "I did what you said about using my quirk on Midoriya, and I guess your theory was right. Whatever he and you are doesn't seem to be affected by my quirk at all." "Thank you, Aizawa." Vomi thanked him. Aizawa nodded as he walked away from them. All Might stood there in shock at what he said. He questioned if she also told him about them, and Vomi nodded. She said to him that Aizawa would use it on Izuku if she told him the truth. After the school day ended, Izuku, Mina, Kirishima, Ida, and Ochaka would meet each other, and new friendships began. For the next 2 days, it went on as every typical school day until the 3rd day of UA. "I am here!" All Might cried out as he put his whole body through the doorway. "Coming through the door like a hero!" All the students were amazed to see the #1 hero, All Might, wear his Silver Age costume in their classroom. They were happily talking with each other about having him here with them. All Might laughed as he began to speak. "Today's class won't pull any punches!" All Might cried out as he held up a card with the word battle on it. "Fight training!" Bakugo shouted out. He got up from his seat, aimed his hand toward Izuku, and pointed towards Mina.
Finally, I can kick your ass, Deku! And you, Raccoon Eyes!
Izuku feared that Bakugo would go all out on them, while just Mina smiled at him. All Might told Bakugo that if he does anything before everything begins, then he's not going to participate. Bakugo sat down and listened. Finally, All Might cleared his throat and stated that it was a hero course, and the thing that they were missing was their costumes, pressing a button to reveal a number of containers corresponding to their seating charts.
Grab your suits and meet me at Ground Beta,
All Might stated as he ran out of the room. The students followed suit and changed. All Might stood at the gate entrance of the Ground Beta. A few minutes passed, and the students came walking out of the gate in their hero uniforms.
Look at you all! You show the embodiment of being a hero!
All Might chuckled. The students prepared for what was ahead of them.
Now, let's get you started, you bunch of newbies!
Izuku was the last one out, and he wore a green jumpsuit with All Might's hair as a hoodie. He looked around for Mina as she snuck up behind him and scared him. He turned around to tell her not to do that, but held his hand in front of him. Mina wore a skin-tight suit that made Izuku look away in embarrassment, as Mina joked about how she'd known him for this long now and he's still a nervous wreck. Izuku told her to stop with All Might, holding back laughter that Izuku made his hero costume the same as his.
Now let's get down to business.
All Might cleared his throat as he opened a piece of paper and read it. The students will be separated into teams of 2, heroes and villains. The villains will hide a bomb on one of the building's levels, and the heroes will explore the building to find and disable the weapon. They have 15 minutes to find the bomb or capture the enemies. The other team will win if either team fails to capture the enemies or the weapon. All Might gave out the teams and pulled letters out of a box.
Our first team shall be Team A as the heroes and Team D as the villains,
All Might said as he held up the letters. Izuku, Mina, Bakugo, and Ida were surprised that they would go up against each other. All Might told the rest to go inside the room and watch the team duke it out with each other. They listened, and Izuku and Bakugo shared a look. Bakugo was hoping to see Izuku scared of him, but what he got was confidence instead. All Might and the students made their way to the room and noticed that Vomi was already there. "Greetings, everyone," Vomi said. They asked why she was there, but before she could tell, All Might interrupted her.
I asked Miss Vomi to see if she could provide help on what is right and wrong in the situation,
All Might stated. Vomi sighed and said that is why she was here. After that, they watched Ida try to talk with Bakugo, but he left before he could explain anything, and after a few minutes, All Might spoke into the microphone saying the trial had begun. Izuku and Mina were seen going into the building through the windows, hoping that Bakugo or Ida wouldn't find them. However, Bakugo launched an explosion at them, but Izuku grabbed Mina and dodged it in time.
Finally, your battle's begun, Deku,
Bakugo stated as he stood above them.
Kachan,
Izuku said as he gave Bakugo a serious look. He looked back at Mina and told her,
Mina, follow the plan.
Right, Mina said as she got up and ran towards Bakugo. Bakugo ran towards Mina and prepared to blast her away, but Izuku hugged him and suplexed him to the ground as Mina ran up the stairs, leaving only Izuku and Bakugo. Bakugo got himself up and prepared his body to attack as Izuku got into a fighting stance. The students and teachers were going back and forth, with Izuku and Bakugo getting ready to trade blows with each other. Mina searching for Ida and the weapon.
You honestly think you can take me on by yourself, Deku?
Bakugo laughed out loud as sparks flew out of his hand. Izuku stared at Bakugo and launched himself towards him as Bakugo followed suit. Thank you all for indulging yourself in this story with us today. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our patrons, BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Milas, Adam Zagil, Zavbeat03, Zill, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I'd also like to thank all of our YouTube members, Toya Costa, Rob the King, Sith Lord 906, CF2364 and Knuckles, Romeo Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Refik135. Thirdly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. And lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years of age or older to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord, using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.